So, konnichiwa. So welcome to Japan IoT Conference. Before we start, I think it's worth asking, what is IIoT? Very simply, it's about connecting things. But most importantly, it is about connecting the data. Connecting the data to decisions. And it's not just decisions that humans make. It's decisions that artificial intelligence will make. Decisions that automation and tools will make. Here at OSIsoft, we have been in the business of data and connecting data to decisions for 38 years. Today, we have over 2 billion data streams licensed from sensor-based data across 21,000 sites in 127 countries. We have nearly 4,000 public case studies where people have taken sensor-based data and used it to drive decisions in their organization. We have been doing IoT for many, many decades. But what is different? And it's today, there is new technology, new sensors, new connectivity that is driving change. It's now physically and economically possible to do things you couldn't before. And it's all about data. In the next 25 minutes, I want to talk about that opportunity, the changes you'll see, the challenges you will see. And very importantly, how do you set yourself up for success? Using the Pi system today, we can deliver and you can provide a digital agility within your organization. If we're going through rapid change, there's an opportunity for how do you embrace that change and evolve. So I'll talk about this need for digital agility to support that change. The way we'll do this is we'll first focus on those challenges and opportunities. What are we going to see because of all this change? And how can we overcome them? And what do we need for this environment that's going to give you that agility? And then very importantly, how do tools like the Pi system give you that agility to leverage the investments you have today and the investments you may make in the future? But before I go into the main presentation, I'd like to play a video that highlights the world of change that we're in today. So we can play the video.
Once upon a time, business as usual was often good enough. No more. Where we are going, good enough is dead. In a world where everything is connected, where everything is equally excellent, where performance is reaching perfection, there's only one space left to innovate in: you. Right now, you are a central point in the raging tornado of change fueled by digitization, mobilization, augmentation, disintermediation, automation. Well, the list goes on. Science fiction is becoming science fact. Think about self-driving cars or computers that can learn and think. The way we work will never be the same. The skills we need will be dramatically different. Winning or losing are now happening faster than ever before. So what's your response? How will you discover new opportunities in one of the most transformational times in human history? This change is exponential. Everything that used to be dumb and disconnected is now wired and intelligent. Cars, cities, ports, farms, even our bodies will be wired with sensors and will talk to each other. These game changers are also combinatorial. They amplify each other, creating a perfect storm of change. Quantum computing fuels big data. The Internet of Things fuels artificial intelligence and deep learning, which fuels robotics. You've got to start engaging more with what might be, not just with what is. Immerse yourself in the immediate future, 5 to 7 years out from today. We need to go beyond technology and data to reach human insights and wisdom. Technology represents the how of change, but humans represent the why. The future is about holistic business model. The opportunity is to be liquid, to learn just in time, not just in case, not single improvements, but complete transformations, not individual systems, but new ecosystems. The new way to work is to embrace technology, but not to become it. The future is in technology, yet the bigger future lies in transcending it.
So the video does a very nice job of highlighting we're in change. But let me give you some data. The iPhone, it's coming up to its 11th anniversary. This is changing our world. We do our banking, we do our browsing through this. We navigate the railway systems through our phones. This is changing our world. Statistics tell us that 90% of the world's data was created in the last 2 years. Huge amounts of data being generated. Some of the top 10 sought-after jobs in the world barely existed 10 years ago. The big data architect, the data scientist, the digital transformation officer. These are all jobs that didn't exist. I was interviewing some Japanese executives about 2 months ago. One came from the retail industry, another on the convenience stores. And in Japan, they were telling me that one of their challenges is employment, people. And how do they get staff to support those shops? And their answer is to automate. It's going to require equipment, machines, and data. Today, Amazon has 45,000 robots replacing humans. We're in a world of change. We're in a world of opportunity. The opportunity, though, we have challenges. And to embrace those opportunities, we have to overcome those challenges. This is an analyst report. I don't expect you to read it, but it highlights the challenge as you embrace this opportunity. This is just for big data, and they found over 400 vendors supporting big data. As you look to invest, you have technology today that is functioning, that is valuable, and you have new technology, new opportunities. Who will succeed? Who will merge? Who will be acquired? Who will fail? These start to send the message of how do you provide an environment that's going to help you embrace new technology with the old and move technology in and out that's successful. Our world is going to get more complicated. With more vendors, we have more formats and more data. If it's not complicated enough, this is Saudi Aramco. This is their control center for oil. Every drop of oil from the drilling platform to the high seas, to the ships, is tracked on a 220-foot screen. They estimate by 2022, there will be 163 zettabytes of data in the world. And remember, 90% was created in the last 2 years. I had to find out what a zettabyte was. It is 163 with 21 zeros. We are going to get more and more data than we ever dreamed of in more formats. And we're going to have to add it to the environment we already exist for new opportunities. And this will lead to the next challenge. I'm calling this the data graveyard, the place where data goes to die. It's now going to be easier to add more information, more data to your companies. IT organizations spent 20, 30 years trying to remove islands of information, making that information accessible. We don't want this new valuable data to go to the graveyard. And finally, as our CEO and founder, Pat Kennedy, said, The more people you can share data with, the more valuable it gets. So with all these new sources of information, intelligence, how do you give that information to the right people at the right time, in the right format, with the right application? We've now got thousands and thousands of streams of data. How do you get the data for the data scientist who's doing AI, artificial intelligence, or machine learning? How do you get the data to a maintenance engineer who is trying to help themselves and understand why their pump might have failed? Or an operations manager who's trying to understand why one plant is more efficient than another? These are the challenges and the opportunity. But before we address why should we overcome these challenges? And there's a great report from a company called McKinsey. They do advisory services to executives in our industry. They analyze companies that were heavily investing in digital technology and those that did not. Those that invested outperformed the competition in revenue, in profit, in shareholder returns. To be competitive, it's essential to invest in digital technology. Very compelling case study. But it's important to remember, this is not a revolution, it's an evolution. You have been taking data for many years and using that to make decisions. As we at OSIsoft evaluate all our customers' data, their use cases, I see a journey, and I see that journey changing in the world of IoT in 3 ways. When we first started out 30, 40 years ago, we relied on engineers with their human intelligence, their human knowledge to optimize their systems. Then came tools like the Pi system that delivered real-time information to add to that intelligence, to optimize their systems, to move reactive into proactive decision support for their operations. As we look at the world of IoT, we see 3 main opportunities. One is to add new sources of information where you didn't have information. An advisory board member for OSIsoft, a customer from Alcoa, Jeff Wood, he said to me, I said, what would IoT do for you? And he said, it's interesting. He said, anything big, critical, and expensive, I have data coming from it. We have SCADA systems, we have PLCs, we have DCS systems. But what he said was, IoT is really interesting because it's physically and economically possible to add new sources of information. Remote monitoring is a classic example. It could be LiDAR sensors. It could be acoustic sensors, new types of sensors. You can add more intelligence. And this adds to the human intelligence. But at some point, we go beyond what the human is capable of interpreting, and we need advanced analytics. So the second area where we see is going to drive more efficiencies in our processes and operations is using the data that we've gathered for that advanced analytics. And the final area here you'll hear our founder talk about is the community. Any organization relies on vendors, partners to help them in their business. As an enterprise, as an organization, you can look at the data within, and you can share that data, analyze that data to optimize your enterprise. If you really want to go that last mile, that last bit of the journey for operational efficiency, it requires gathering data from your whole ecosystem, from the vendors, the supply chain, the value chain, and sharing that data and using that data to optimize all your business partners. So we at OSIsoft see new source of data, analytics, and this community of sharing data as the key to driving even further efficiencies within your businesses. Brett presented this earlier, and this is what OSIsoft's vision. With all these new sources of information, we want to connect any information from any location to any user in real time for any application. If we looked back in the first started the Pi system, people typically started to look at their assets. They looked at their assets, their equipment, and worked out, how do we optimize those assets? How do we stop them failing? People very quickly realized that the efficiency of a process is not just about one asset, but how assets work together. So plants, and understanding a plant and monitoring the whole plant was critical. And finally, a big investment area for our customers today is the enterprise. People realizing that giving people access to data, everyone, improves operational efficiency. But with IIoT, we've seen our vision extended, adding the new sources of information, these new sensors, new remote connectivity, and then leveraging the community to share data to expand that focus of intelligence and information. But as we look at empowering people with data, we have to look at this world of change and world of opportunity. If we are going to address those challenges we talked about, we need to have an ecosystem, an infrastructure that supports you evolve, digital agility, allowing you to, one, take your IT and OT organizations, your operational technology, and your IT organizations. Most IT organizations are doing the sensor, device, edge implementations. Operations technology groups aren't. How do you bring these groups together? The IT groups typically own the big data initiatives with data science. How do you bring them together? The second need for digital agility is to help you with all these new vendors. How do you add new vendors, take away vendors, integrate those vendors with your existing investments? The third area which is driving the need for this digital agility is the people. With more and more data, it is not possible to serve people views of information. You have to change the mentality. You have to enable the users, the engineers, the operations managers to help themselves to the data in real time, not rely on a data architect or an IT person to get the data for them. The fourth area is recognizing that everyone has differences. There is no one application. Instead, you need the agility to be able to develop the applications that drive your business, the dashboards that the company live by, the dashboards that help maintenance engineers understand when equipment is not functioning. And the final area is really around analytics and doing the analytics and having the flexibility to do the analytics where it makes sense. And I'll go into more details on this. So the first area of flexibility and opportunity that OSIsoft can help you with is really around the integration of IT and OT. Today, your operations environments consist of multiple vendors with DCS, SCADA, PLC, etc. here. What we see is the IT organizations now investing in new technology. They're adding new sensors, new gateways, they're doing the remote monitoring, and they're using different technology. They're putting data into the cloud. They're using different cloud vendors, and they're doing analytics in the cloud. Here at OSIsoft, to give you the agility, we have the PI system. Its focus is to connect all sources of operations data and make that available. Being able to add context, structure, and be able to stream that data to no matter where it's needed. If it's a plant manager or an operations manager looking at the productivity of the company or a plant, if it's a maintenance engineer who's trying to diagnose an issue, or a data scientist that wants to combine the IT and the operations data for machine learning or artificial intelligence. The PI system provides that layer of connectivity for new and old sources, traditional sources of information. Second area of flexibility we need is those new those new vendors. How do you add new vendors to your systems, your critical systems? Today, you've got these current vendors you may be using. You might want to add new sensors, acoustic sensors, lidar sensors, vibration sensors, and add them to your decision support network. We also have to recognize that not all data is going to come through the Pi system. It will go through to other people's clouds, AWS, Azure, SoftBank Cloud. Data will be going to other clouds. They'll be going to different silos. What OSIsoft offers is the ability to plug in different sources of information, whether it's from new edge technology or whether it's from clouds storing data in different locations. We continue to invest in connectors and interfaces to give you the agility to add and remove successful and unsuccessful sources of information. As we transition, though, and look at the needs of digital agility, the important thing we keep focusing on is the people. And one area here of need in the digital world is making data understandable, trusted, and high quality. At the side here, we have a whole set of things in the Pi world, in the Pi system world, we call tags. But if you're to increase the value of data, you need to make sure people can understand it and trust it. So as we look at empowering people to access this information, we have some capabilities in the Pi system called the Pi Asset Framework. Very important, this structures the information, puts it in a hierarchical, consistent format, so that any person in a company can understand where the information is, where it came from, and the type of information it is. I think in Japan, one area of big opportunity and the center for digital transformation is using data context and getting structure behind the data, being able to share that data in more places. Having structured the data, self-service is key, helping an operations manager, an engineer, help themselves to these huge volume of current and new sources of information. Today, this is the Pi system. The Pi system allows people to, whether it's this is Pi Vision. This allows people to self-service and build the views of the information they need. They can also extract the data into Excel through Data Link. But the important aspect here in having any user in your company access the data is creating the structure, the understanding, and the meaning. But it's not just about self-service. To drive efficiency in a company, we need to go from reactive to proactive. If I'm helping myself to data in real time, it's pretty reactive. Instead, the opportunity is to be proactive. Deliver dashboards, deliver applications that's going to drive your business. And again, a key part of driving those applications, giving you the flexibility to deliver those applications quickly, efficiently, is our asset framework. Structure the data. Once you've structured the data, you can replicate it across your different plants, your different operations. And once you've got the consistency, it's very easy, without an API, using standard Pi Vision features, to build the applications you need without developer programming. So here's an example for some power generation, where we can create a high-level power generation view geographically presented, and people can drill down into the details here. But very importantly, it goes back to being able to empower every user in your organization to access and gain value. In this example here, where we have power generation, the board or an executive can see how much power is being generated for their whole business, all analyzed and streamed at once by the Pi system into Pi Vision. If there's a problem or we see lack of performance, it's very easy for an operations manager to go find the site and what might be causing that. And then for an engineer to create the views that help them diagnose and fix the problem. But key here is having the flexibility to build the application that's going to drive your performance indicators, your goals. Very importantly, it's also about presenting data in the right format. If you look at engineers, they aren't financial analysts. They're not used to business intelligence tools. And one thing that we offer with the Pi system through the Pi Vision tool is be able to present data in meaningful ways for engineers. So here's an example where you can take a CAD drawing, representation of a whole process, and you can overlay data to make it really easy for anyone with very low skills to understand what's working, what's not working, and where it's working. But a key in that digital agility is being able to build the applications without IT support that represents data in the way your users want to consume it. The final area of agility is analytics. And one of the challenges we see is the IT and the OT world. I don't know how many here and how big it is in Japan, but IT typically we've seen don't fully understand the critical needs of operations. They're learning it, they're trying, but they also have different technology. And what we see here is IT will often think, there's big data out there. I want to move all my information, all your information in operations into a data lake. And to be honest, it's not the answer. We have got studies out there that show that 61% of big data projects fail. And why do they fail? Trust and quality. You can't just throw data into a data lake without giving some trust and quality, and that requires engineers who care about that data, to aggregate it, to bring it together, to put structure behind it, and deliver it. So I like to use this slide when I position to IT. IT is data lake, cloud, analytics. And if you look at your operations as critical, it could be power generation, it could be wastewater. I like to use this example of why you need to put analysis in the right part of your organization. The driverless car of the future is going to be critical to you. Your life will depend on that driverless car, just like your industry will depend on the lives of people in that. Where do you want the decision to be made for your driverless car? If I'm doing 70 miles an hour down the highway, I do not want the cloud making any analysis for me. I want the analysis done in the control center of my car. If I'm doing braking, where do you want the analysis to be done? I want it as close to the edge, as close to my brakes, so it's as fast as possible to minimize any issues. But then the cloud has great value. If I'm not looking for real-time delayed and I want scalable computing and I want to share the data, the cloud's a great place to collect data off all the cars that are in your network and work out what's the most efficient way. But to IT organizations, I like to position, we have critical infrastructure. It has to be bulletproof. It has to be solid. We want decisions as close as we can to where it matters. And we want to leverage cloud to help us drive efficiencies that you couldn't do in isolation. And so our role at OSIsoft is to be able to put that data, add context from all the sources, put trust and quality behind it through an agile data infrastructure approach, and then serve it to the IT organizations when they need it in an analytics-ready format. Again, key aspect behind this, the IT side have their business data. Your operations have their operations data. If you're structuring the information, it makes it very easy for the business and the operations data to be joined. If I have a plant, a power plant, and I know how much power is being generated, I can get from the business side the cost of that power generation and do the analysis. But with the asset framework, it's critical to structure your information so IT can join the data and do analytics. Why do this? If you do the research, most data scientists spend 70 to 80% of their time processing the information before they do the analysis. This customer, Cemex, they were spending 744 hours processing data. Then they decided to use the Pi integrator and Pi, and that came down to 5 minutes. Because we structured it, we made it trustworthy, we put quality into it, and we made it very quick to get it ready for analytics. So 5 needs around needing for digital agility, being able to adapt, evolve with this world of opportunity and change. As we proceed, Brett alluded to this, our big investment is Pi system is very mature. Our big investment is to increase the number of sensors, gateways we can access, pervasively collect more information sources, and then develop out our cloud that will help with scaling, sharing, and importantly, advanced analytics. So, in summary, world of change, world of opportunity. OSIsoft is here for you today. We can leverage your current technology, we can take data from that technology, and we can help you in improving decisions. At the same time, we're providing an agile environment to allow you to take on new vendors, new technology, and integrate that into your existing systems. Okay, so thank you.